Hi everyone, thanks for joining day three of Azure Networking. And be sure to be till the end of the session and tomorrow as well to get your certificate of participation. And the recording, if you haven't watched the previous recording, please do watch it. And if you missed, please do watch and catch up on to today's session. And let's get started with where we left off yesterday. Over to you, Robin.
Hey, good morning, Suraj. Thank you, Suraj, for giving all the introduction about the training program. Um, Suraj, can you just confirm the audio so before starting the session? How?
It sounds good.
Okay, great. So, good morning, everyone. Request everyone to confirm the audio from your side as well. So, I hope it's been good. And in case if you're facing any kind of a technical issue, requesting you to rejoin. Yeah, good morning. So we got delayed almost 10 minutes because we are waiting all the participants to join. Yeah, good. Thank you. So let's start the session. Thank you, Sujit, for confirming. So good morning and happy Wednesday to everyone. Welcome to AZ700 day three session. Yesterday we were focusing more on the Vnet part. Yesterday we have seen how public IP address is being assigned. We understood in which situation we are going to use a public IP address, and we had a discussion about how public IP address can be associated, how public IP address can be disassociated, on which scenario you are going to use a public IP address, and we have learned about how connectivity is being made. So these are the few terminologies, and these are the few topics so far we have been discussed. Today we are going to discuss about a few other important topics. One is been about subnet. We'll be discussing about a subnet. We'll be discussing about a communication between a different subnet and a different sub network. We'll be discussing about a concept called Vnet peering. We'll be discussing about jump server or a gateway server, and we'll be discussing about bastion service and the load balancers. So these are the few topics we are planning to discuss on the today's session. Yesterday we landed on into the Vnet concept. So VNet is the concept normally we are using on a cloud scenario. With the help of a VNet, we'll be able to distribute IP address into different network. Now, today we'll start with a term called subnet. We'll understand what is the use of a subnet, how subnet can be used inside a cloud scenario. Yesterday, when we had a discussion about a VNet, we understood whatever IP address we want to use it on in a cloud, especially on the internal network. We are assigning with a private IP address, and your private IP address is being mapped with your VNet. That is important learning yesterday we had. Yesterday we understood whatever IP address you are going to use it for cloud is basically a private IP address, right? Any IP address which has been starting with a 10 dot series or 172 series or 192 dot series. This basically these are the IP address normally we are using. Now today I'm starting about a concept. It's called reserved IP address. Yesterday you may be noticed the moment when you created a VNet, you define range 10.0.0.0/16, and the first VM which has been mapping to the VNet is getting an IP address 10.0.0.4. Now we were got a question. What happened to 0, 1, and 2 and 3? Let me go back to the portal. Let me show you this practically again. Let me take you into the Azure portal. Let me connect into the portal here. Waiting for the OTP code. Let me delete this existing resource group available here. Let's delete this one and let's create it once again. Waiting this existing resource group to get delete here. It will take few minutes. We are trying to see how IP address has been assigned here. So let's wait for this one. Right now, this deletion of the existing resource group is in progress here. Right now, the resource group is got deleted here. Let me create two VM. Let me go to the Azure portal and create two VMs here. I'm just giving the name VM1. Let me create the first network. Let me give the network name is called production. Given 10.0.0.6. Let's create it here. Review and create it here. Right now the validation is completed. Let's provision. Right now this deployment is in progress here. Right now you may be able to see the VM1 is got. If you go to the virtual machine, you have a VM is got created. You can able to see like a VM1 is got created here. If you go to the properties here, if you go to this VM here, you may be able to see the first IP address you have received is 10.0.0.4 here. Means the moment when you create a VM, let me take you into the whiteboard. Right now we have created a production VNet. You have a prod VNet has been available. In a prod VNet, you have attached a VNet VM. This prod VNet was configured 10.0.0/16. And what is the IP address right now you got received? You got an IP address 10.0.0.4. Let me ask you one more question here. If I'm creating another VNet, let's take it's a market, and IP address range I'm giving 10.1.0./16. If I'm attaching VM2 here, what will be the IP address my computer is getting? Can you comment it on the chat? If I'm attaching VM2 here, can you tell me what is the IP address your computer is going to get it on in the market one? Can you comment it on the chat? Now Halfis is saying 10.1.4.0. Richie is saying 10.1.0.4. We got two type of answers here. Waiting the rest of the members also to comment. We got another one. It's like a 10.1.0.4. So multiple answers we got here. Let's go and practically see how this has been assigned. Let me go to the cloud portal now. Let me create another network. Right now, you may be able to see already have a production network has been available. Let me create one more. One more, it's been confirmed here. Okay, so let me create that. Now, let me auto. Let me provision, not auto. One second, I'm just provisioning another VM. Let's wait for this to create. Let's create. VM2 in the North Europe region. Let's create in another region here. No infrastructure availability group have been selected. We are given all the username and password. Let's give networking. Create a new network. It's called market. I given range 10.0.10.1.0.0.16. Let's create it here. Review and create here. Right now the validation is completed. Provision is being started. Let's wait this to complete. Right now, let's go for the properties here. You may be able to see like there is a two VMs got created, VM1 and VM2 here. Now, if you go to the VM2, you may be able to see you have a VM2 has been created, and you may be noticed the first IP address the computer is been received is 10.1.0.4. Now we are getting a question here. What happened to 1, 2, 3? Even though if you're creating another computer here on the same network, for example, like if I'm trying to create one more VM on into the same network, for example, like I'm creating VM3, now infrastructure cost, let's wait, attaching to the same network which have been created, production, review and create here. Let's wait. Right now the validation completed. VM creation has been progress. Right now deployment is in progress. Right now you may be able to see the another VM is got created. The name we are given is VM3. If you go to the VM properties, you may be able to see it's been attached to the production network. Instead of 1, 2, 3, you may be seeing this has been configured with an IP address 0.5. Now we are getting a question. What happened to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4? Normally, if you take any organization or it's like an Azure infrastructure, right now you may be able to see if this network, the first IP address is got 10.1.0.4. So you may be seeing like here 10.0.0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, these all are missing. Here if you are seeing the same thing, 0.0, 1, 2, 3 is missing. So if you take any Azure infrastructure, by default, I'm just like putting a general statement, x dot x dot 0. Right now, if you take a structure here, 10 dot x dot x dot x dot 1, x dot x dot x dot 2, x dot x dot x dot 3, these all are known as reserved IP address. is basically known as a reserved IP address. So right now you maybe notice 10.0.0.0 is missing, 10.0.0.1 is been missing, 10.0.0.2 is missing, 10.0.0.3 is missing. Normally, if you take a 0, this is using for network address, 1 is been using for gateway address, 2 and 3 is being always used for your DNS. That's the reason we are not able to um, use this IP. So whenever you configure a VNet, the first IP address you are going to get from 0.4 onwards only. So that is an important point you need to remember when you are designing or planning your network infrastructure in a Azure. Is this point is been clear? If yes, can you comment it on the chat? I hope this concept is been clear here, right? So here also you are getting 1.0.4 onwards. If it is clear, requesting everyone to confirm through the chat option. If you're good, we can able to go for the subnet part. We got a few comments. You have a large audience is been joined here. Request everyone to confirm. So just to ensure that we both are on in the same page. Thank you. So next we are going to discuss about a concept called subnet. Now, when you create a VNet, we understood the IP address is being represented in a CIDR block mode, right? Whatever IP address representation you are seeing on in a cloud, basically you may be able to see like always we used to represent like a 10 dot series or 172 series. So this mode of representation is basically known as CIDR block. Now, whatever number you are seeing here, this is representing how many bits is being used for network, how many bits it's been used for host. Based on that, this number is being given here. Now, let me give you a scenario. The moment when you created a VNet, you may be mentioned like a 10.0.0.0/16. You may be observed it was giving a indication saying that, hey admin, you are capable to configure 65,536 IP address. You maybe notice that, right? The moment when you select a window here, you may be able to see the moment when you start creating a window, sorry, IP address, for example, like let me create a VM here or VNet here. Let me create a test VM. You maybe notice the moment when you start creating a networking, the moment when you start creating a IP address, how much, what is the IP address range you are able to see? If I'm giving 16, you may be notice, let me zoom it. You may be able to see the moment if I'm giving 16, it's capable to distribute 65,536 IP address. The moment if I'm changing to 15, you may be able to see this number is been configured into 131, 1,31,000 IP address. The reason or the meaning is here. Let me take you into whiteboard. I'm creating a VNet on in one of the customer place. Customer network is been given is broad VNet. If I'm giving range 10.0.0.0/16, you may be able to see here it's capable to provide 65,536 IP address. Ready? You may be able to see there is a dedicated um, you may be able to see there is a dedicated 65,536 IP address. You can able to see it here. Now, If you go back to this 65,536 IP address, if I'm connecting computer 1, can you tell me what will be the IP address I'm getting you? Can you comment it on the chat? Let me see how many people are clear about this concept. If I'm attaching VM1, what will be the IP address I'm getting? Let me see the reply from all the members here. What will be the IP address your VM1 will be getting? Can you comment it on the chat? If I'm attaching VM1 into prod Vnet, what will be the IP address I'm going to get it here? Can you comment it on the chat? Because in the exercise, I'm not seeing any reply on the chat. Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Azida. Um, it's not 5. So normally you will be getting 10.0.0.4. Now, if I'm attaching computer 2, what will be the IP address range I'm getting? It's going to be 0.5. If I'm attaching VM3, I'll be getting 0.6. If I'm attaching dot 4, I'm getting 0.7, right? So right like this way, you are getting an IP address from this address port. Now you think a scenario, if you are placing all the 65,000 IP address, you are putting in a one bucket, and all the machine who's been connecting here is getting IP address from this pool. There is a concerns we are getting from a client, like when it's been like there is no isolation is been happening, there is no security, there is a chance of security compromise also, right? Because just think a scenario on the same network, if I'm attaching my domain controller, my payroll application, everything on in a one bucket, there is a chance of security compromise. That the reason normally the organizations are doing a concept of isolation. Isolation means that again this 65,000, you will make a small chunk of unit. So in case if you want to put some kind of a traffic management, you will be able to make some kind of a isolation or a traffic management, that basically known as subnet. Basically it's known as subnet. Let me give you a scenario. Now in Qatar, FIFA World Cup is been happening. I'm just giving a scenario. Now Sujit got, we have a Sujit is here, right? Sujit and Candy is here. Sujit is got 65,536 ticket for soccer. This is a World Cup football. He got a ticket. Now everyone in your department or in your organization need FIFA World Cup ticket. They can go and talk to Sujit. Sujit will distribute ticket. So this ticket number is been starting from 0 to 65,536. Can you comment on the chat if Sujit has been distributing this kind of a mode? What are the concerns you are going to get it in a operation? Sujit, from your point, you are the person who's been distributing here. From your point, what will be your concerns? Can you comment it on the chat? Sujit, if you can comment on in the chat, can you tell me what will be your concern, right? In case if you are responsible for distributing this 65,000, what will be your concerns? Waiting the response from all the participants here. Mismanage my IP address. Okay. Richie, thank you for that. Waiting the response from rest of the members also. Yes, isolation or a sharing of IP address or management or administration is going to be tough for us. Now, right now, if you come to a infrastructure or IP management site, rather than putting this 65,000 on in a single bucket, what we are going to do here is we are going to make a isolation here. For example, like 10.0.0.0.0 slash 16. If you have a 65,000 IP address, I'll make a small unit here, like a small chunk unit, like a manager or HR, depends upon what is my requirement. I'll be able to configure it for that. Now let's go back to the cloud portal. Practically, let me show you how this has been working. Let me go to the portal here. Let me clear this whatever existing network we have been created. Otherwise, you may get confused. Let me delete it. Let's wait this to complete. Right now, the existing virtual network we are deleting and creating a new one. Right now, you can able to see this has been created. Let's wait. We are deleting this virtual network. Let's wait for a few minutes. Let's wait for this to. Right now, this creation is deletion is in progress. It's got deleted here. Now, let me create a virtual machine here. We are creating a new virtual network. Create a network. I'm just giving a network like HR. Let me create a network name, create a VM code VM1. No infrastructure cost. If you go to the networking here, the moment when you start creating a network here, for example, like HR Vnet, you may be able to see like a 10.0.0.16 is the IP address you have been given. Then you may be able to see like a 65,536 IP address you have. Now, what I'm trying to do here is from this 65,536 IP address, again, I'm making a small chunk of unit. I'm giving 10.0.0.4. So I'm saying from this 65,000 IP address, I'm taking a chunk of unit, right? Right now, you may be able to see 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.25, 256 IP address. I'm taking rent from, or I can taking a making a small unit from this VNet here. I'm giving 10.0.0.55. I'm creating one more subnet, subnet B. Here I'm saying like a 10.0.1.0/24. You can able to see this IP address range is starting 10.1.0. etc. Let me give you. Right now I'm created a network. Now when I'm creating a virtual machine here, I will tell my virtual machine is going to be part of HR VNet. Inside that, I'll be getting multiple subnet unit. I hope it's been clear to you. Inside that, you have a small unit is been creating, again creating a small unit here. For example, like I'm attaching to subnet A. Let me review and create it here. Let's see what is the IP address your computer is been getting here. Let's wait for a minute. Right now, let's create it here. Let's wait for this to create. It will take a minute. Right now, you may be able to see we have a VM has been created. Right now, if you go to virtual machine, you have a VM has been available. Now, if you go to the VM properties, you may be able to see this has been part of HR Vnet and has been part of subnet A. Right now, you may be able to see this got an IP address 10.0.0.4. Now, let's take a break. After a break, we'll see how VM has been assigned to the second subnet and what will be the uh, computer or getting an IP address, and is there any kind of a subnet communication has been available. Let's take a 5 minutes and come back. Thank you. I hope you are back. Requesting you to confirm through the chat option. Um, yes, by default there is an automatic routing has been enabled, Nada. By default there is a three type of routing has been enabled on in a cloud. One is been on a system route, and we have a UDR, and you have a BGP also. So there is a three type of routing has been enabled. So by default there is a system route is been enabled between a subnet. I'll be discussing that point tomorrow, how routing is can be enabled or what are the option is been available. So we'll have a session tomorrow. Now, right now we maybe noticed you have a VM has been created. If you go to the properties here, right now what we have done is we have created a virtual network name or virtual network details you have been provided is HR Vnet. You may be noticed we have a HR Vnet has been created. The IP address range you have been provided 10.0.0./16. Now inside HR Vnet, we have created two subnet. The subnet name we have given subnet A and subnet B. You may be remembering you have given first subnet range you have been provided. It's a 10.0.0.0.0/24. Here you are given 10.0.1/24. Let's go and verify this. Is it right or not? Can we just let's go and verify inside a cloud portal. Right now you may be able to see there is a HR VNet is created. Inside a HR VNet, there is a two subnet is got created. You may be able to see this two subnet we are given. Name is subnet A and subnet B. Subnet A we are given an IP address 10.0.0.0/24. Subnet B we are given 10.0.1/24. Now let's go back to portal whiteboard. Right now I hope this two portion is been clear to everyone, right? You have HR VNet is been available. HR VNet is been placed now. You have a subnet is in place now. You have subnet B also, it's been clear here. Now we have created a VM1 here. VM1 we have attached to this subnet. We got an IP address 10.0.0.4. Now let me go and create another VM1 in the same subnet. Let's create VM2 and see how this has been communicated. Let me go and connect to this VM2 here. Now, if you go to the cloud portal here, let me go and attach one more VM on into the same subnet. I'm selecting all the group, everything same, giving the name VM2, same location, username and password I'm providing. Attaching this computer or the virtual machine to the same network, HRVNet, I'm attaching to the, not into the subnet B, right now I'm attaching to subnet A, review and create. Right now the validation is being completed. Let's provision this VM. Let's wait. Now VM2 is got created here. Right now, if you go to the VM2 here, you may be able to see this VM2 is been part of HR VNet. Inside in HR VNet, we have a two subnet, subnet A and subnet B. So this VM2 is been attached to subnet A. So you are getting a IP range from 10.0.0.5 here. So right now you may be able to see the VM1 and VM2 both are attached to VM or HR VNet and into the subnet A here. Now let me go and create another virtual machine and attach to the subnet B. Let's see practically what is the change has been happening. Let me go to system here, VM3. If you go to the properties here, the been just giving the username. Let's go and create it here, attaching to subnet B. Subnet B, you may be notice what is the range we have, 10.0.1 series. Let me go and create VM3 and we have it attached to subnet B here. Let's wait. Let's wait. Validation completed and provision already has been created. Right now, you may be able to see the VM3 is got created. If you go to the properties, VM3 is actually it's been created with the help of HR Vnet, and right now this has been associated to subnet B here. Previously, you may be noticed VM1 and VM2. It's been created into subnet A. Now this has been attaching to VM. VM3 has been attached to subnet B here. So if you notice this private IP address has been currently it's been assigned, it's 10.0.1 series because this technically has been assigned to a different subnet here. If you go back to the whiteboard, if you go back to whiteboard, you may be noticed your VM3 is attached into your subnet B. So technically this is getting IP range 10.0.1.4. In case if I'm attaching VM4 here, can you comment it on the chat? What will be the IP address you are getting? Can you comment it on the chat? What will be the IP address VM4 will be getting? Can you comment it on the chat? If I'm attaching to VM4, what will be the range you are getting? What is your observation? Like if you are attaching VM4, what will be the IP address you are getting? It's 0.1.5, right? Because if you take a whiteboard, what is the address range you have? 10.0.1 series. This is got 1.4. So obviously this is going to get 10.0.1.5. Let's go and see that. Let's go to the cloud portal here. If you go to same subnet, Sujit, we are not started 10.1 series. We created 10.0.1 series. Look like you got confused. So it's been 1.5. VM VM4. Let's attach to the same network. Attaching to subnet B, review and create. Review and create. Right now, you may be able to see second VM is got created. That is the VM name we have been given. The name we are given is VM4. If you go to the VM properties here, VM4 is been attached to subnet B. You may be notice the range we are given is 10.0.1.5 here. I hope this point is been clear to you, right? Right now we have discussed about importance of a subnet. We have discussed about how a different subnet is being created inside a cloud infrastructure. Basically, it's been using for a isolation purpose. Now, you may be having a question, is there any kind of a communication is available between these two? Can we communicate from VM4 to VM1? You may be having all these questions. We'll be discussing about this subnet to subnet communication or one VNet to another VNet communication, etc. here. Then we'll be moving on into the gem server. Right now, you may be able to see we have one VNet has been created. Inside that, you have a two subnet has been created. Now, let's go and create one more VNet on in the same region. Right now, if you take a configuration here, this has been completely created in East US region, right? In East US region, you have a VNet has been created. Now, in the same East US region, let me create one more VNet that's called a market VNet. Let me create a market VNet here. Then I'll go for the creating on in another region. Now, if you go to Microsoft portal, let me create one more VM. If you go to the portal here, internet subnet, yes, we'll be discussing that. Right now, if you go to the portal here, let me create one more VM. Let me give a name VM5. I'm going to create one more VNet here. Let's go to the same network, same location, VM5 here. Let me create one more network. Let me give the name called market. Inside that, I'm giving a subnet called subnet C. Let's create, review and create here. Validation is in progress here. Right now, validation has been completed. Right now, the deployment is in progress here. Let's wait for this to complete. Deployment has been completed now. If you go to the virtual network, you may be noticing here there is a one more VNet is got created, and the name it's been given its market. Market is the name. Right now, you may be able to see here it's been got created. You can able to see there is a market VNet is got created here, and address range for this market is been 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 0 dot 60. Now the VM right now we have been created. The name we are given is VM5. It's been created on the East US data center. If you go to the properties, you may be noticing here the range it's going to get or the IP address is going to get it's 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 4. So the IP range which you can able to see here, it's 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 4 here. So technically we have created one more network on in the same region, right? In the East US region itself, you will have a HR VNet, you have a market VNet available. Both are being created on in the East US data center. Now let's create one more VNet on in a different region. For example, like North Europe region. Then we are trying to see how the communication between different data center has been working. Let me create one more VM and one more network. Now let's go and create one more network here. I'm giving the name VM6 instead of East US. I'm selecting the region North Europe. You can able to give all the points here. I'm giving this is a test VNet, or let me give you a development VNet. I'm just giving dev VNet. Subnet D I'm giving. Okay, review and create here. I have a validation has been completed here. Deployment is in progressing here. Right now, you may be able to see we have a next VM is got created. That is a VM6. Instead of creating on East to West region, this is created in a North Europe now. If you go to the properties here, you may be able to see this has been created in a North Europe region here. You can able to see here. This has been created as in a North Europe region. This has been created. Now, if you go to properties here, give me a second. Now, if you go to North Europe region, your VM6 is got created. Now, if you go to the VM6, you may be able to see you have a another VNet is got created. The name we have given is development VNet, and you have a subnet D. It's been attached and is getting an IP address 10.2.0.4. Technically, if you go back to the whiteboard, you may be able to see you have a two VNet has been available on in the same region. For example, like if you're taking a East US, you have HR VNet has been available. You have a market VNet has been available now. You can able to see you have a market VNet has been available. Additional to that, you have created one more VNet on in a North Europe region, right? In a North Europe region, you have created one more VNet that's called development VNet. Inside that, you have created a subnet D and you have attached your VM6 here. Now we are getting a lot of questions. Is there any kind of a communication between these two? Because this has been attached or created between different regions. How this has been communicated. Now, let's try to understand about a communication part. How intra or inter subnet communication is happening. Same thing for how intra or inter VNet communication has been happening within a system here. So this is the exercise we are going to do now. Now, let me take a scenario here. Let me take you into portal now first. Can you comment it on the chat? How many network is been currently it's been available here? Can you comment it on the chat? How many network you are seeing here? It's been three, right? You have a two VNet, which has been created in the East US region, and you have one VNet, which has been created in the North Europe region. Now, if you go to virtual machine, you may be able to see you have a 6 VM has been created that has been mapped to 3 network here, right? VM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's been mapped to different network here. Now, let's go and see here how your VNet is been attached or how the VNet is able to communicate here. Let's create one by one. Now, let me take you into whiteboard. Let me clear this window here. Let's start from a communication perspective. We have a two region. One is East US region. You have North region. North region, let me put in a different color. So it's be easy for you to understand. So I have a North Europe. Now in the East US region, you have a two network is been created. Let's go one by one. Okay. Now the first VNet we have been created. It was HR VNet, right? You have HR VNet. The IP range we have configured was 10.0.0.0 10.0.16, right? It's been 10.0.0.0/16. Inside that, we have created two subnet, subnet A, subnet B. Now we have created a two VM on in the same subnet. You may be remembering we have two VM is being created, VM1 and VM2. Now, right now we are going to discuss about, is there any kind of a communication within a subnet? Now, in a subnet A, you have a two VM is got created, VM1 and a VM2. Right now we are going to discuss about if VM1 and VM2, if it is created, is there any kind of a communication is been happening? Ready? Any questions? Now, what I'm trying to say here is when you create a VM, we have been attached to a subnet. Right now, the point we are discussing like a within a subnet, is there any kind of a communication? Now, let me go back to the portal. We have a two VM you may be able to see here. That is a VM1 and a VM2 also. Now, let me connect to RDP connection. Before that, let me cross verify this subnet. Right now, you may be able to see VM1 has been part of the subnet A, VM2 also subpart of subnet A here. Right now, you may be able to see both are part of the subnet A. Let's connect a remote desktop here. Then let's try to see is there any kind of a communication. Right now, I'm taking the remote desktop connection here. Right now, take a connection here. VM1 I'm connecting. If you take a VM2 here, sorry, VM1, let's take a connection here. Right now, you may be able to see it's got an IP address 10.0.0.4 here. Now, let's try to connect to VM2, which is got 0.0.5. Right now, this has been blocked by the local firewall. Okay, it's not a issue with the Azure. This is like a OS firewall is actually blocking the ICMP packet. We can route it, Samun. I'll be discussing that topic tomorrow. How to do a routing concept. I'll be discussing tomorrow. Right now, let me enable a ICMP. Right now, this ICMP packet is been disabled by the local firewall. That's the reason we are not able to communicate. Let me disable that for a time being. Or we may have, yes, ICMP has been blocked on in the local, yes, Windows firewall. You're right, Abdul, because it by default Windows Server 16 and 19 having a property that will block ICMP. That's the reason ICMP has been not working. Let's disable on in a local firewall level. Let me connect it server. Right now, ICMP has been blocking here. So let me disable a local firewall. Let me disable this firewall because time being this for workaround solution. Let's disable this. This has been okay on a VM1 also. Let me do this workaround. Now, if you try to communicate to VM2 on in the same subnet, you may be able to see VM-A and VM2, which has been hosted on the same subnet, are we able to communicate each other? So the team, you need to understand when it is coming on in a Azure scenario, I'm not talking about only the VM case, any resource which has been hosted under the same subnet that will communicate each other. Clear? I hope this point it's been clear to everyone. What I'm trying to say here is when you are using a cloud infrastructure, any VM which has been hosted on in a same subnet, by default it's been communicating each other. Means in case if you have a storage or if you have a firewall or if you have a multiple VM, if you place everything under the same subnet, by default there will be a communication between each other. You don't need to add any kind of a configuration on in a cloud network. Is this point is clear? What I'm trying to say here is if you place any device or any resource under the same subnet, for example, like if you have a VM or a VM or another VM or it's a storage account or a database, by default, if you place any resource under the same subnet, that will communicate each other. Is this point is been clear to everyone? You don't need to have any kind of a routing to be enabled by default. By default, any resource if you place on in a same subnet, that will communicate each other. Clear? Team, waiting for all the members to confirm. Team, if you're good, requesting you to confirm. Different subnet, different VNet, I'm coming to that point. Give me a few more minutes. I'm coming to that point. How it's been configured between a different subnet, I'll come to that point. Okay, that's super. Now, right now we have been noticed within a subnet how the communication is being enabled. Now, right now we are going to consider about a second scenario here. If you place a vnet, if you place a resource on a different subnet on in the same vnet, what I'm trying to say here, we have a HR vnet is been created. Now you placed a VM inside one subnet which is been configured under subnet A. Now you place another resource. I'm just giving a name. For example, you have created VM3 here. What will happen if a VM3 or a database, if it has been configured on in a different subnet but on in the same VNet? I hope you got this point. What I'm trying to say here is you have a different subnet has been available which has been configured on in a same subnet, a different subnet but on in the same network here. Let's see on in a cloud scenario here. For example, you have a VM3 has been available. Is there any kind of a communication between subnet to subnet here? This is the point right now we are going to discuss here. Let's take you into portal. It's on the same network. Okay. Now, right now I'm taking VM3. Right now on the screen, you can able to see we are inside the properties of VM3. If you can able to see, this is bit connected to VM3 has been configured part of the same network, but on in a different subnet. Let's connect it here. Then let's see, is there any kind of communication? So practically when it is coming on in a reality, instead of VM3, this may be a database or a firewall or any network equipments. Let's see here. Connecting to VM3. VM3 RDP is received. Let's connect. Right now you may be able to see VM3 has been connected here. Right now, if you go to VM3 here, IP address, if you go to the command prompt, let's type the IP config. You may be able to see what is the IP address you are currently getting. It's getting 10.0.1.4. Now, if I'm trying to connect to VM1 which has been placed under subnet A. Let's see, are we able to communicate or not? So let's see here. What is the answer you are getting? The takeaway or the conclusion we are getting here, in case if you have a multiple subnet which is being created within a VNet, I'm saying within a VNet, if you have a multiple subnet is been configured, that will communicate each other. That is the understanding or that is the learning. Now you may be having a question where the isolation is been not happening. That isolation needs to be done manually because Microsoft don't know which services needs to be blocked, which services it's your company or an organization or a client is needed, right? That's the reason Microsoft is been not blocking this, because that blocking or that communication control or a traffic management has to be done by our side. So by default, the learning or a conclusion we are getting here, in case if you configured any subnet or if you have a multiple subnet has been configured under the same VNet, by default, there will be a communication. I hope you got this point, right? In case if you have a one network, by default, there will be a communication between whatever subnet has been created within a VNet. That is the by default. That is the learning so far we have. This point has been clear. Any questions? VNet networks, yes, normal, yes, exactly, Abdul. By default, it will communicate each other. In case if you want to block or in case if you want to do any kind of a communication management, you need to enable a feature called NSG, answering to someone's question. Or in case if you want to do any kind of a intra subnet communication, then we need to bring a service called network security group. Yes, it's in a within a VNet only. Okay, if this subnet is in a different VNet, it won't communicate. What I'm trying to say here is, in case if you have a VNet, within a VNet, if you have a multiple subnet, by default, this has been blocked. Now, Microsoft cannot block VM1 to VNet here, right? Because that needs to be configured by you only, right? Because that decision Microsoft is giving to the admin. Hey, admin, please evaluate your network. In case if you want to do any kind of a traffic management, I am giving a feature free of cost that is called NSG. NSG is actually completely free product. So you can enable on the subnet level. In case if you want to do any traffic management, or in case if you want to do any kind of a management of the resources, you can enable NSG here. Clear? Great. Now we'll take a break now. After a break, we'll see if I have a subnet on in a different VNet or in a different region. Is there any kind of a communication? Before pausing for a break, are we clear about this concept now? If yes, can you put a comment on the chat, good, or like button, or yes? Because I just want to ensure that this is a complex topic. My name is Robin. So, Carl, so if it is clear, you can able to comment it on the chat. Yeah, we got a few positive feedback. Yes, because it's a little complex one. If you got this logic, you will be able to configure any uh, network inside your organization. This is the basic topic. This concept, if it is clear, you are Azure network. Yeah. So thank you, team. Let's take a 5 minutes break and come back. Thank you. Thank you, Abdul. I think that is a good sign. Like confusion of it's been good. That is the appreciation we are for us. It's great. So that has been good. Happy to hear that your confusion about VNet is got resolved. That's good. Now let's see Vnet peering and uh, hope the rest of the confusion also it's been cleared now. So let's take a break and come back. Thank you. I hope all are back. It was a tea break, and I hope all are back now. Now, before tea break, we were discussing about how resource is being communicated between different subnet within a VNet. The learning we have here is if we have a network which has been configured on in a east to west or any region, if you have a multiple subnet has been available on the same region, and if you have a multiple subnet available on the same VNet, that will communicate each other. Now, in case if you have another VNet, let me give you second scenario here. I have another VNet. I have a same, sorry, I have a VNet, HR VNet here. In the same HR VNet is been configured in east to west. On the same region, you may be remembering like we have created one more network, right? Previously, we had a before break, we had a couple of VM has been configured on in a same network, right? I remember like we had a one more network available in the region. Let's connect it to the let's connect to the same network. Look like this account is got signed out. Let me re-enter. Right now you can able to see here. We have one more network has been available on the east to west region. That name we are given is market department. Let's go back. You have a one more network has been available. The name we are given is market department. In a market department, we have created two subnet, subnet C and subnet D. Now inside a subnet, we have created a VM called VM4. Now, right now we are trying to see what will happen if subnet C and D is been communicating. Can you comment it on the chat? Is there any kind of a communication available? What is your opinion? If subnet C and subnet D, if it is communicating, is there any kind of communication? Yes, because both VM has been hosted on in the same network. So this communication will be there. They can communicate each other. Now, right now we are trying to see what will happen if you have a two network. One is a HR VNet and another one is a market VNet on in a East US region. Both are being configured on in a same data center. If I'm trying to connect between subnet C and B, or if I'm trying to connect between VM4 and VM1, is there any kind of communication? We are trying to see that. Let me go to cloud portal. Let me connect to the cloud portal here. We have a two network you can able to see here. One is HR VNet and you have a market VNet also, right? You may be able to see you have a HR VNet and you have a market VNet also. It's been available here. Now, if you go back to portal, if you have a virtual machines here, you have a VM4 has been available. You have a VM4 has been available here. Now you can able to see this has been VM4 has been connected to HR VNet. So let's take it to VM5. VM5 you can able to see this has been attached to market and subnet C. Let's connect to here. Let me connect to this market department here. Let me enter the username and password. We are getting login screen. Let's give that. RDP connection is been enabled here. Right now, you may be able to see this is connected in a different network. Let me try to connect to the VM1 10.0.0.4. That is a VM1 here. Right now, you may be able to see here. In case if you have been configured any resource on in a different VNet, you will not be able to communicate with other resource. So technically, one VNet to another VNet communication is by default it's been not allowed. Is this point is been clear? What I'm trying to say here is, in case if you have a multiple VNet available in your organization, one VNet to another VNet, you will not have any communication. Is this point is clear? I hope this point has been clear to everyone here. What I'm trying to say here is, if you have a multiple VNet has been available, yes. But yes, in case if you want to make a communication, yes, we can able to do with the help of a concept called VNet peering. I hope this point has been clear. Any questions? I'm just pausing here for the questions. Okay. Now that is a cool feature we have, how the communication is being established. Yes, Firnas, we are going to discuss about VNet peering. That is the concept we are reaching here. I'm just trying to make it, the concept is been clear here. Right now we have understood. In case if you have a multiple VNet is been available or multiple subnet is been available, how this is been communicating. That is the point right now we are discussing. Now, if you go back to the portal, right now you may be understood. In case if you have a multiple VNet, it's been configured on in a east to west region, one network to another network, there is no communication has been available. I hope this point has been clear. Now we are going to discuss what about if you have a VNet available on in a another region. What I'm trying to say here, for example, like you have a development VNet which is being configured in a North Europe. Is there any kind of communication between one data center to another data center? That is the point. Right now we are going to discuss here. Let me take you into whiteboard. Sorry, Microsoft portal. Right now, if you go to the Microsoft portal here, you have a market VNet has been created. You have a market VNet has been available here. You have a virtual machine has been attached to that network. You may be able to see the VM6 has been available. That has been attached to. We don't have any VM. 1 second. Let me see. Development. Yes, I think VM6 only. VM6 only has been created in North Europe. Let's connect to this. We are trying to connect to this. Downloading the RDP file. Let me connect. Let me connect it here. Right now, you may be able to see the VM6 is being connected. Let's connect. Let's try to connect to the first VM in 10.0.0.4. You may be able to understand one data center to another data center communication by default is been not available here. In case backend Microsoft is having a communication, what I'm trying to say here, in case if you configured any resource on in a different subnet, this got a different angle here. That means by default, one data center to another data center communication is by default it's been not available. So there's no kind of a communication you can able to see here. Is this point has been clear? I hope this point has been clear to everyone. Now you may be getting a question here. In case if you have a multiple VNet or a multiple subnet has been available, in case if there is no kind of a communication has been available, how do we communicate each other? Basically, it's been done with the help of a concept is called Vnet peering. You may be heard about a feature called Vnet peering. The concept which you are going to use it, it's called Vnet peering. Right now, you may be observed. There are two scenarios we have been considered. One, it's been like one region to another region. Communication is there or not? We understood there is no communication between a different VNet which is being configured on in a different data center. Second point we have been considered, in case if you have a multiple VNet is been configured here, is there any kind of a communication? The point we have been learned, one VNet to another VNet communication is been not available by default, even though both are being configured on in the same data center. technically one VNet to another VNet communication is been not available. So these are the 2 points, or these are the two important facts on in the default communication we have been discussed now. Is this point is clear? Any questions? Right now what we have learned, how the communication is been happening here. Now how this two network can able to communicate right away here. It's been enabled with a feature called Vnet peering. The concept normally we are using, it's called Vnet peering. There are two ways it's used to configure. One is being known as global Vnet peering. Second one is being known as regional Vnet peering. Currently, we have considered two scenario here. One, you have a two resources which has been configured on in a cloud. Right now, we have considered a two scenario here. One, you have a two VNet which is configured on in the same data center east to east, which is been not able to communicate, right? That is the first point we have discussed. You have a 2 point we have discussed. One is called a regional VNet peering, saying that if you have a two VNet, if you have configured on in a same data center, we came to know that this won't be communicated each other here. Now, how to make a communication? There are some situation if you want to make some kind of a communication. In case if you're configuring a peering within a region, the concept I'm saying within a region, you can able to configure this one. It's called a regional VNet peering here. Let me take you into portal. If you go to Microsoft portal here, let me take it here. Currently, you have a two network available here. One, you have HR VNet, and second one it's been like a market peering. So basically, I'm getting two network here. One is been configured in the same region, and second one it's been like you have a another VNet is been configured on in a another region also. So right now we are discussing how this can be able to communicate each other. Is there any kind of a default communication is been available? So coming on into the Microsoft side, there are two ways this trusting or communication is been enabled. One is been known as regional VNet peering, and the second one is been known as global VNet peering. We got a question on in the chat. Is there any kind of peering is been is a free of cost? Technically, I can say it's been partially it's been free, because in case if you're configuring any kind of a gateway, only in that case you have a charge is been coming. Otherwise, it's been a cost is been minimum. You don't need to have pay any extra cost for configuring a VNet peering. But in case if you're configuring any kind of a gateway transit, there is a feature available inside of peering. Only in that case you will have a charge needs to be provided. In case if you're not configuring gateway, you don't need to pay anything for that. Right now you may be able to see you have a two network has been available. You have a HR VNet has been available. I'm trying to make it a communication enablement between HR VNet and market, which has been configured on in the same network. Let me connect it here. Right now I'm just going to the properties of the respective network. You can able to go to the properties of the particular network and connect to a manager here. That means like you may be able to see an option called peering. You have option for HR Vnet peering option is been available. I'm saying this needs to be mapped with the next Vnet peering here. For example, like you have a what is the other network name? It's called market. I'm saying like please go and make a peering with the other one. Right now, I'm just giving a market. I'm making a communication. This is a remote side, right? So on the opposite side, I'm saying market to HR. I'm just making a communication. And here I'm saying HR VNet needs to be paired with which network? HR VNet needs to be paired with the market here. Let's add here. This is the only option you need to add it here. The moment when you add this feature, you may be able to see on the notification area on the both the net side, your peering is actually enabled here. See, right now you may be able to see this actually making a kind of a trusting between one network to another network here. For example, if you go to the properties here, HR VNet, if you can able to see HR VNet has been paired with a market department. Now, if you go to the market department, you may be able to see market is actually paired with, you can able to see market is actually paired with HR network. See, market and HR has been paired. Now, in case if you have any VM, for example, like I remember like a VM3 has been part of a market VNet here, right? You can able to see, sorry, not VM3, VM4. VM4 is actually part of a market VNet here. Right now, if you go to the market VNet, sorry, not VM4, we have a VM5 seems, yes, VM5. Now, if you go to market 5 here, if you go to a VM5, where is your VM5? Now, if VM5 is right now, it's been trying to communicate. Right now, you may be able to see after making a peering, this able to communicate here. Yes, right now we are on VM5 and you may be able to see one network to another network communication is with enabled here. Right now, the enablement we have done between two VNet, which has been configured on in the same region. You may be able to see here, you have a network is been configured. You can able to see this is VM5 and it's been like both it's been configured on the same region, east to west. We just enable here. For example, like if you want to make a communication to North Europe, same step. You can just go to the particular network, make a option called peering here. On the peering tab, just add the which network you want to make a peering. I'm saying HR to development network. Now on the opposite side, I'm saying development to HR because both the way you need a communication, right? Here I'm selecting development one. Right now you may be able to see how we selected development one. I just validate it here. Um, Richie, you can able to do both the way. Right now you may be able to see I'm taking a scenario of a different physical data center, right? You may be able to see like I have been considered a different data center here, right? Development one, it's been configured on a North Europe. You may be able to see it's been connected to the North Europe here. So it's been connected to the North Europe region here. Yes, in case if you're making a VNet peering between the two regions on in the same region, you can able to go for that. Otherwise, it's been called a regional peering. And in case if you're making a communication between two VNet on in a different region, that basically not as a global VNet peering. That is the way it's been configured. Any questions? Uh, that's a good question. Like giving a T-shirt or a gadgets. We have taken your input. Possible like in future, we may bring such kind of initiative. But for this training, we don't have any T-shirt or we are not providing any gadgets. possible in it's a complete free webinar. It's been a completely the free webinar. So the competition is it's been like we are giving a free of learning here. That is the uh, what we can say, that is the gift we are giving to everyone here. So we are taken anyway, we are taken your input possible, like what do you mean is more than a t-shirt. Yes, it's like we are trying to share, it's a free webinar, we are just trying to share the knowledge and try to enable everyone here. So more than a t-shirt, I think that may be the best value we can able to take away after end of this program. This is what we are believing on in rather than a gadget. We believe on in sharing a knowledge. Yes. So yes, that's what we are organizing this free webinar. You may be remembering like there is a lot of effort that's behind for organizing this one, ensuring that it's a free webinar is giving, because nowadays if you look around the market, wherever you're going for any kind of a session, uh, I don't think so any organization has been hosting this similar kind of a complete 4 days or a 5 days of free webinar on every week, right? So we are giving free of cost or a free webinar it's been hosting, because wherever you go we may have to pay some bugs, or it's like we may have to put at least minimum registration fees, right? But this is completely a free webinar. So our agenda and our vision has been, it's been completely enabling the Microsoft technology to everywhere, and to ensure that people are comfortably and able to use this skill set. So that is the agenda we have behind this one. Anyway, we have taken your input. If anything we can able to bring it in future, definitely we'll consider this as like some competition or some quizzes, or who has been participating regularly, we'll try to give you some guidance. i'll I've taken your suggestion, we'll consider that. Thank you. I hope the Vnet peering concept has been clear to everyone here. If you're good, can you comment it on the chat? So thank you for Abdul. Like I hope all your Vnet confusion is got cleared now. So in case if anyone still having a doubt on any VNet peering, or one VNet to another VNet communication, any doubt? Okay. Now, if you're good, we'll cover one more topic that's called a gem server and a gateway server. Then we'll pause for the break here. Now, next topic or next heading you can write in your notebook. Now, we are getting a question here, that basically the question is been coming on in a multi-cloud kind of a scenario. Azure Vnet repairing, it's basically configured rollings is for whatever Vnet you are configuring on in a Azure scenario. In case if you want to connect, or in case if you want to make any kind of a communication to other cloud providers, you have to use a option called Azure Express Route. Basically, you need to use a feature called Azure Express Route. With the help of that, you can able to do that. With the help of a regional VNet peering, or with the help of a global VNet peering, you won't be able to make any kind of a trust, or you will not be in a kind of a position to make any kind of a communication to other cloud providers like AWS or a Google or Alibaba or IBM or any other provider. We may have to use a feature called VPN gateway, or you may have to use a feature called Azure Express Route. With the help of that, you can able to configure. So by default, there is no option is been available. We may have to enable this one. Yes. If you want me to summarize here, let me take you into whiteboard. I can able to summarize. That's not an issue. Let me go back to the whiteboard here. So far the learning we have within a subnet. What is the communication we have? Within a subnet, all resources can communicate each other. Subnet to subnet within a same VNet, communication is been enabled by default. Now, one VNet to another VNet on in the same region, communication is been not possible. one VNet to another VNet. If it is on different region, that also it's been not possible. So this is the summary of the communication portion here. Is this point is been clear? Do you want me to do any additional discussion on that? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat? Then I can able to move to the next portion. Thank you, team. So the next topic we are going to discuss something about gem server or gateway server. So the next topic is gateway server or gem server. When we had a discussion about a public IP address, we understood there are two important points. Whatever public IP address you are using, it's been cost is been involved. That is the first point you have learned. Second point you have been learned. In case if you have any public IP address is been configured, if all the machine is getting a public IP address, there is a chance of network security or cloud securities. There is a chance of compromising. That's the reason organizations are started using a concept called disassociation. We are using a concept called disassociation. Disassociation means that you have a solution has been available. That means you can able to remove the public IP address from the portal. That basically known as disassociation. Now we are getting a question here. Now I have a couple of VMs been available. Right now we understood all the computers are getting public IP address and private IP address. If you assign only private IP address, how do we communicate to this servers here? If I'm a user, I'm connecting from Nepal or a Philippines or a Malaysia. If this VM is been not having any public IP address, how do we communicate? Normally, how this has been communicated, you will be placing a server on in the perimeter network. This is something like a normal VM you will configure. On top of that, you will install operating system. This VM will have public IP address and private IP address. You're getting the point? This is basically known as gem server. If anyone want to communicate here, let me show you here. Let me take you into the portal. Right now we have a couple of virtual machines here. Let me take first VM. Let me remove the public IP address. Let me go to the networking and remove the public IP address. I'm just removing the public IP address here. Disassociate, save. Right now we remove this public IP address. Let me have a public IP address is removed here. You can able to see here public IP address is removed. Now I have another computer, VM2 also. Let me remove the public IP address. You can able to see here. So this associate, save. Now you can able to see we have a two VMs has been configured here, VM1 and VM2. Let's remove all the rest of the computer. I don't need all this computer. So let's remove this. Let me delete. Basically, we used to say it's called a POR, right? It's not a PAM. It's basically known as Privilege Access Workstation, Abdul. That is the device or the technical term we used to use a called POR. It's a kind of a POR here. I'm coming to that point, Vidya. So just give me a second. Right now, you may be able to see here. We have a two VM is been configured here without a public IP address here. Now, if you go to a device, now I hope you can able to see a whiteboard here. Now you have a two VM1, you have a VM2 also available. Right now, only the private, you have only two private IP address only it's been available here. You can able to see here. This is got 10.0.0.4, 10.0.0.5. Now, if I'm a user, if I want to communicate to this server, previously I was using a RDP connection using a public IP address. Right now, there is no public IP address. So we are getting a question, how do we connect to this? Now, way we have been removed the public IP address. One, it's been like we need to save the cost. Second one, it's been like a security was a concern. That the reason we have been removed. Now, in a normally in a real-time scenarios, in a normally the organization will be using a concept. They will be using a server which will be placed on the perimeter. Will be creating another VM with a public IP address. Okay, only this computer will have a public IP address, and this will be attached to the same Vnet. Wherever this your computer has been attached, the same Vnet this will be attached. Let's go back to this portal. Right now, you may be able to see here. You have a two VMs here. Let me connect to this portal. Right now, I don't have any public IP address here, so I'm creating one more server here. Creating a same called gem server on the same network. Review and create. Review create here. Basically, Abdul, in case if you don't have any kind of a routing or a VNet peering has been available, you can have on the same network. In case if you have a VNet peering has been enabled, this will communicate each other also. In case if there is, if you're keeping on in a different data center, you need to have a VNet peering to be available on in the backend. Let's wait. Right now, you may be able to see here. You have a VM is got created here. You have a VM has been available here on the portal. You can able to see here. Now, if you go to the virtual machine, you can able to see the jump server is been created. Only the jump server is got a public IP address. See, only the jump server is got a public IP address here. Right now, you can able to see only the jump server is only got the public IP address here. Right now, you can able to see only the jump server. Now, anyone want to communicate to VM1 or a VM2? You know how this will be connecting? Users will be connected to gem server first with the help of a public IP address. I'll take a RDP first here. Once the connection is there, again I will take a RDP from here using a private IP address. For example, let me connect you the portal here. First, I'll take a connection to the gem server. I'll connect to the gem server first. Let me connect to the gem server first. Right now I'm connecting to the gem server. So I'll take a RDP to this server first. Now, right now you may be able to see we are inside a gem server now. Right now you may be able to see we have connected to gem server. Now in case if I need to connect to, you can able to connect to the portal here. You will take a remote desktop from here. You will take a command prompt, type mstsc. Look like my RDP has been not, yes. Right now I'll type it 10.0.0. Whatever IP address I need, I'll type it here. So from a gem server, whatever communication we are doing, that is going to be the with the help of a private IP address. So technically in your network, you will have only one public IP address only available. Rest all will be communicated internally using a private IP. See, like this way you'll be able to communicate here. So this is basically for ensuring that security has been provided, ensuring that public IP address cost is been saved here. So this is the method. Normally, we used to use it in a cloud infrastructure. With the help of that, you will be able to manage all your network. With that note, I'm posing here. I hope you got the concept of a gateway server or the concept of a gem server inside a Azure infrastructure here. If you're good, requesting you to confirm through the chat option. In case if you have any question, please let me know. Any questions? Thank you, team. Surag, over to you. RDP, I cannot give an RDP connection of the lab right away here. So let me see what are the other options we have possible. Like I'll be able to give you a, uh, I'll give you a session on how to create a free account. Right now, whatever lab right now I'm giving, I'll not be in a position to give a access to that. Yes, it's kind of a, which is a kind of a prop server. It's okay. Yeah. So it's a kind of a probe or a PO kind of a device here. Surag, over to you. Let me see. Maybe look like Surag maybe stuck with another call. Let me check it in. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I'm putting the call on hold for a minute. Yeah, Abdul, you are right. It's basically like we are connecting to a server. From there, with the help of a private IP address, we are connecting. So that is the way your public jump server is been working. Chaitanya, over to you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for the session. And I hope everyone learned a lot from today's session. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be discussing about LB tomorrow. Yes, most of the organization, Abdul, it's been using the gem servers or gateway servers. We are using that. So thank you, team. Let's talk tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.